Alright guys, how's it going? I just have some food for thought here regarding commanding methods in Arma 2. Now these are coming from someone who doesn't have an incredible amount of experience being the CEO of missions, but I like to think I know a little bit about tactics and team organization, so yeah, I came up with a quick conclusion on this. Now, this is regarding basically just commanding and the methods of commanding broadly. I've noticed that there are two major ways that COs run missions, and this is usually dependent on the type of missions and like how many people and so on. But I've noticed that the two types, as I've named them, are direct command, which is known as micromanaging, and what I call generalized POA, or plan of action command. Now, I will say this, I'm not degrading micromanaging at all. It definitely works sometimes. Depending on the amount of people under your command, I personally don't like it because it's not really that fun for everyone involved. Also, it's really stressful if you get any larger group going. It's just the commander has a very difficult time figuring out what's going on, and everyone's always asking, what do I do now, what do I do now, alright, I'm here, what do I do, and so on. It's just incredibly stressful. So basically what we're going to talk about is mostly the POA command. When it comes to POA, when it comes to POA command, I notice a lot of team leaders still play like they're being micromanaged, making the CO jobs 1,000 times more difficult, without everyone working as if it's not micromanaging, as if it's just plan of action. Then you don't get the plan of action. It's still micromanaging in that case. So let's give a few examples here. Plan of action is, for example, I have my map open here. This is just a map of Saki, I guess that would be. I just pulled this up in the editor, took a quick screenshot, and so on. Basically, let's say you have the command element wherever they happen to be. They could be at headquarters, for all you know, contacting on long-range radio. Alright, plan of action is when the commander at the start of the mission would meet up with his team leaders, whether it be squads, fire teams, it doesn't matter, and says things like, alright, let's say I'm going to do colors here. I want blue team, let's say I want blue team to insert, okay, let's just put blue team's going to insert here using, alright, this is right next to the road, so they're going to use vehicles to come in over here. And when they come down over here, they're just going to move up the mountain right here in this ridge line and set up right here. And then they're going to attack from the northeast down this mountain. And they're going to start as our recon up here, right? But basically all the command would say is you're attacking from the northeast. Alright, then they would say, okay, red team, I want you to insert down the valley, and you're going to be attacking from the southwest, moving in this way. Now, then they would say, let's say there's only 3 teams. Green, they're going to do also a helicopter insertion. This is a helo insertion, by the way, for red. I should mark that. Alright, helo insertion. Green is going to do a helo insertion, and they're going to come right down. I don't know any good places here. I haven't really studied this map at all, but for the sake of just messing around, I'm going to say green's going to come down right here in this little village, or just outside this village right here, and they're going to move up, and they're going to attack from the west, northwest area, and so on. And basically what would happen is the command, when doing this, all they would have to say is the initial plan of action. Now, when setting up for a battle and setting up battle plans such as this, generally the first thing you throw out is the battle plans. You have no idea what you're going to hit. No matter how good your intel is never good enough. So when you come in, you're going to come into this, and basically you may not be blind, but everything's going to change as soon as someone hit contact. For instance, blue team could get up on recon, and for all they know, there's patrols patrolling the mountain right here. So now they're screwed. What do? Okay, they have to fire back. They have to retreat back down the hill, flank around the hill, whatever happens to be, while these guys come in, and now they have no recon looking down here. So they have to rely on green, who doesn't have the best view of these streets because of all the buildings or what have you, tree line, whatever it may be. So basically, the plan gets thrown out. Now, with the plan of action, what would happen is the teams at this point began coordinating with each other. The CO doesn't do much. Maybe he calls in intel, keeps the teams informed, but from here on out, everything that goes on is between blue, green, and red team. They are talking to each other at all times and coordinating their plans to try to come in and work together, basically, to hit the targets. They become kind of equal commanders here, each commanding smaller groups. And the only reason the commander would have to come back in is for, let's say, a major turn in the mission, such as if you lose blue team entirely and you need to set up some sort of medevac out of here, then the commander would step back in and say, okay, green, I need you to do this, red, I need you to do this. Anything that's a change, a major change in any of the plan, that's when the commander would step in. If the plan is still you're attacking, all three teams are attacking from their assigned directions, they work together on that, and the commander, all he has to do is call in intel or whatever it may be. Now, if this were a micromanaging case, then what would happen is the commander wouldn't stop there. He would say, okay, now green team, I want you to move down the mountain this way, I want you to come in here, and I want you to take the street this way, and patrol up the street this way, and kind of watch the entire west side of the road. And he'd say, okay, red, I want you, once you get to here, I want you to walk straight down the center of this road, and I want you to clear everything. So you're just going to keep moving. Once you clear up, I want you to move this way and go right here. And blue team, I want you to stay recon. Once you see that green has made it to their point and red has made it to their point, you're going to move down the hill down here, and you're going to come clear the village in this way while you have green covering for you. When you're done, everyone comes up out of the north and gets taken out the north at the extraction point, which I'll just mark in red right here. That's the extraction point. So, as you can see, micromanaging, it's a lot more involved and sometimes more organized because you only have one group or one person per se telling everyone what to do. He can kind of control all of the action. Now, if these were smaller groups and everything was a lot smaller scale, and not saying this was like, okay, 12 people, for instance, which is a lot, like even 6 people would work per each of these teams, then that would be very simple to do. However, not as fun. These guys in here don't get any command at all, besides for commanding their own guys, which isn't that difficult. It's on me, and so on. I mean, everyone knows how to do that. So the fun is kind of taken out of all of this. And you have an issue here where, let's say there's a lot of action going on and the plan didn't go as planned, such as this. Well, like it's not going to, like I said, the plan is always the first thing to get thrown out. Then suddenly you have blue team pinned down over here in the tree line with 2 guys down, and they're screaming over their radios at command, yelling at what's going on at their sit rep. And then you have green over here saying that they see contacts and they want to know if they can engage the contacts in the village, and then red sees the contacts also, or red's maybe hit contact down here, and they're all screaming over their radios trying to get a hold of command, and command meanwhile is trying to tell them all what to do, can't even figure out what he's going to do himself, and it just gets very stressful. Now, it'd be a lot easier if he had given the plan of action, oversaw it, and saw what was going on, and let's say at every step of the way, whenever something major happened, the teams would just give a quick sit-rep report. Command could ask for sit-rep on any of the teams or anything, but it'd be more fun for everyone because everyone is getting involved. It's more fun if, let's say, blue and green have this, here we go. blue and green are talking right here, and they're coordinating their actions together, as well as green and red and blue. So you have all of this communication going on, and all the teams are working together instead of working apart to clear this village, and whatever the objective may be. Let's say it's just to clear this town here. Now this could work great, and it sounds like it may work great, but the main problem that there is like I said, let's say the commander does want to use this method. The teams aren't acting like it. The teams will come down here, and they'll get to here, and the commander will basically, at the point where he would let them loose to go do their mission, which their mission is to attack the village, communicate with the other teams, and attack the village from the northeast here, northeast, then they would hold up right here, and they'd wait for him to say go. Now, he may say go if it's a coordinated attack or whatever, but then they'd wait up here, and they'd ask for permission to enter the village, or whatever it may be. They're basically just a higher ranked version of a grunt, and that's not what team leaders do generally, especially if there's this much people. Team leaders command, and they listen to the higher ups on the broad scale. Each team covers their own area. So for instance, blue team worries about everything in here, red team worries about everything in here, and green team worries about everything over in, what did I put over here? Yeah, everything here. That's what each team worries about in the plan of action. And then command will take over, and I'll use yellow for command here. Command oversees it all to make sure everything is going correctly, and if anything does need to happen, he can take command and say, okay, new plan of action. Blue, go back to the tree line, cover the tree line, cover for green, who's going to retreat south, meet up with red. Red, I want you to cover their back, or whatever it happens to be. I don't know, but it really depends on the situation. And I see major issues with this, and I think it needs to happen a lot more. I can't say that that it doesn't happen at all. I'm not in every game. I just know that there's been lots of failures in lots of missions, lots of just pulling a mission just because things happen where the command suddenly is like, what do I do now? There's guys pinned everywhere. They weren't talking to each other at all. That's one of the biggest problems I see, is that green and blue right here won't have any communication at all. They'll all be going through the commander, or if the commander has an RTO, they'll all be going through the RTO. Whatever it happens to be, these guys have no communication, which automatically says failure. The only communication they would have is when blue is right here and green is right here, and then they look over the valley and they see each other and go, oh, are those friendlies? Are those friendlies? And they radio, blue, is that you? And then blue says, I'm at grid, and then green says, I'm at grid, and they're like, oh, okay, that's you, and then they move in on their objective. I mean, it's just uncoordinated, and it doesn't work as well. The commander can't view all aspects. So, I mean, excuse me for my rant here, but I think I did a pretty good job of displaying what I mean by this. So, I mean, it's not that difficult. I think I made a pretty good point. Feel free to come in and tell me what I'm wrong about, or your opinions on the matter, but this is just what I believe. So, I mean, anything can happen in a mission, and it's just really difficult for a commander to try to control all aspects, and I think everybody in the mission shouldn't be yelling at the commander if something's not going right, especially if the commander is being very broad about his commands, because the team leaders do need to take action. So it's kind of the responsibility is falling on everyone, not just command, and I think people need to realize that a little bit and step up to the plate as a team leader. And that's not saying that it doesn't happen. I've seen it happen before. It just needs to be more organized inter-team, as opposed to everyone going through command for everything. Like, oh, command, where are they? Do we have to go to them, and so on? Or I'm going to go to them, as opposed to green, we're coming to you, and then later on, when command says, what's your situation report? blue can say, oh yeah, well now we've met up with green at this position and we're pulling security for them as they set up satchels on the objective, whatever it happens to be. And it works more effectively, it's more realistic, it's more fun, and you'll have more successes, in my opinion, if you work together like that, as opposed to keeping everything on the broad scale. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Feel free to tell me what you think I'm wrong about.